Welcome into Grit, everyone, inside Manhattan Beach Studios. I'm Victoria Dennis, and joining me today is Pro Beach Tour broadcaster Kyle Friend, and we are talking all things World Champs. Kyle, welcome to Grit again.
Again, I'm back.
The first three-timer Grit guest.
Breaking records.
Breaking records
here.
I mean, I know you're putting in the mileage going overseas, but you're putting in the mileage here at Manhattan Beach Studios.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's nice to be back. You know, we did the slunk shoot, which was super fun. I got a lot of compliments on my Halloween slunks. I wore them in Cape Town.
Let's go.
Some people were like, oh, this pumpkin's so cool. So shout out to Chris and the slunks crew for putting those together. But yeah, it's nice to be back. And
yeah.
Little World Champs.
Let's talk World Champs. We're going to dive into your picks for the toughest pools for men and women's. Mm-hmm. And then I have some hard-hitting questions to get all the storylines about what fans can expect and what athletes also playing in World Champs can expect down under in Australia. First things first, there's 48 teams for men and women's, so that's going to be 12 pools of 4.
Yes.
Let's get into talking about the pools. But first, tell us how it's different than the Olympics.
Yeah, so with the Olympics, you have those pools of 4, and all third-place teams will come out in the Olympics. And this is a much bigger draw than the Olympics. The Olympics just 24 teams. And so here you have 48 teams, all those 12 pools of 4, so it's a much larger tournament. And if you talk to a lot of athletes on the tour, they will say that World Champs is harder. And as an outsider looking in, I would agree that it's a bit harder of an event because you're seeing absolutely everyone. It's a longer tournament. It's 10 days of volleyball. And not every third-place team makes it out. So you'll have 12 third-place teams, but only 8 of those 12 will make it out. And how it works is they'll take your point ratio, your win ratio, your set ratio, and point ratio is so valuable to figure out where you land in terms of third-place teams. They'll match you up. The top 4 third-place teams will automatically move on to that round of 32. And then those next 8 will play each other for a chance to move on, whether you play a 1 seed or a 2 seed. And then if you're in the bottom 4, you don't get out. And so I think it's really nice because it incentivizes consistent playing throughout the pool play. Instead of like, okay, we won our first, we're probably going to break pool, there's a 4th-place team that isn't super stellar, so it doesn't really matter. No, you got to play hard if you're in a tight pool. And I think that's what's unique about the Challenger format or our elite format when we have the lucky losers. There's been some feedback about the lucky losers. If you lose that round of 12, you can get brought back to life. And it's kind of unique because of the format and how we did it. But what that format promoted was consistent play throughout the tournament and rewarded teams who came out of that round of 12 who lost, who had the best point ratio. And so it's a similar thing here in World Championships in Adelaide.
Talking about tough pools, Pool I for the women's side is on the front of your brain right now. So Pool I has Italy, US, Australia, and Canada. Have you seen these teams before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So we'll start at the top with Italy, who is the top seed in that pool. It is Valentina Gottardi, who is the most exciting women's athlete in the world right now. She's a freak of nature athletic. She's so powerful. And then Reika Orsi-Toth. She's a graduate of LMU right up the street. And she has been pole vaulted into this role, picking up where Marcia Menegatti took off. She retired. Valentina was playing with her in the Olympic run last year. Valentina and Reika played just one event last year in Rio. Was their only event. They took a 5th place in an elite event, which was really good. It wasn't the most stacked elite event, so it was a very small sample size for them. But then they came out this year, they took 5 fifths this year. They won a gold in Hamburg at a very heavily stacked event. And so they, for me, are the favorite here in this pool. Then you have USA team of Lexi Dendenberg and Julia Donlin, who have started to find their groove as a team. I think they're the most physical 1-2 punch on the Beach Pro Tour that we have on the women's side, because Lexi in transition and Julia as well, they're very powerful. They can put some gas on some of these balls, and they've kind of switched up their flow because they started the year as a split blocking team. And as of late, they've switched to Julia being full-time blocker and Lexi being full-time defender. And I think Lexi is just a bit more scrappy defensively and can have these Superman layout digs, and she's quite efficient. She's getting a lot better because she blocked, as you know, at UCLA for 4 years there, and she was a very good blocker. And so she has made the transition pretty seamless. And they have jumped up in the rankings, and they've snuck in to get that 4 spot. And so a really tough second place team. And then you have Max Belanger and Leah Monkhouse. Leah Monkhouse, a UCLA graduate. They're the Canadian team, and that is a very physical team. Max is super physical. They had a really good run in Montreal. They got the automatic bid because of the Canadian team, but they pushed a lot of teams there, and they really proved that they can compete with a lot of good teams. And Leah Monkhouse, I think, is really elevating her game. And then Olivia McDonald and Shauna Pauly of New Zealand. That's a really experienced team. They've played 19 tournaments this year alone. So they have gone up and down the globe playing and competing with a lot of the best teams. They have 2 challenger quarterfinal finishes as well. So 2 fifths in their back pocket. And so in that pool, there's really not like one team that really hasn't seen a lot of action or only had played a couple Beach Pro Tour events. That's not the case. Where some of these pools, you have a team from Africa or a team that has just not quite the experience. That is not the case here in Pool I, or the Pool of Death, if you will. Yeah, between Valentina and Lexi, those are kind of my 2 biggest, strongest teams in that. And what's interesting is they've never played each other. So Italy and USA, those 2 teams, they're kind of new teams this year together, and so just haven't run into each other. But a really good opportunity, I think, for Lexi and Julia. I think they will break pool, but this is the hardest pool on the women's side.
And they're going to have to battle. Lexi and Julia, I really love how you mentioned their transition game. They're such physically strong athletes, and they're power athletes. We've talked about like finesse on the sand, how it's a little bit more finesse than indoor taking those big rips, but not for Donlin and Dunneberg. No. They, in transition, do a really great job of keeping their digs off the net to create space in transition to allow themselves to find the ball and carve it up, swinging high line, swinging hard cross. We've seen it on the AVP. So I'm very interested to see how they battle in Pool I.
Yeah, it'll be a good test for them in their biggest tournament as a partnership to date, and like they had this great experience in the AVP because they won the league and the championships. They ended up coming out on top, and so they've been pushed before. They've had the big stakes, and so now this is a little bit bigger in the World Championships. As we mentioned before, it's the 2nd biggest event we have in the world, and so I'm excited to see how they perform.
Pool I isn't the only pool that you mentioned on the women's side.
Yes.
There was another one as well.
Pool G.
Pool G.
Yeah, Pool G. And in Pool G, there's a bunch of Olympians, 5 to be exact. And so that's a little unique in terms of these pools and how it's set up. So you have Kelly Chang and Molly Shaw. They've kind of had an awesome season. I think there was some unsureness to see what happened with Molly and Kelly as Sarah went down with their Achilles injury. No big deal. 3 fourths and a gold medal in João Pessoa, where they beat Ana Patricia Duda. They beat Rebecca Carroll. They beat Victoria Tamala. They went through all of Brazil's best teams in one tournament, so they've proven they can beat absolutely anybody. Steffi Fejas, Jasmine Fleming from Australia, they got a bronze in New Volley, a 5th in Baden, a competitive Australian team. Danielle Alvarez, Tanya Moreno. Everybody knows them in the NCAA world because they're from Spain. They went to TCU. They're fresh off of an NCAA championship. They got 2 top 10s this year and then a 4th at Euro championships. And then the last team, and also they went to Paris Olympics. And then the last team, Monika Polakina and Ane Repulita from Lithuania. 3 top 10s in their last 6 events, also Paris Olympians. So again, that is also a really tough pool. You don't have that one-off team that is like, okay, that team's definitely going to get 4th. Not the case here. And so a bunch of exciting matches in that Pool G. So 2nd toughest pool, in my opinion.
Out of the 2nd toughest pool, Pool G, which team do you remember covering this season, and what makes them stick out to you?
Yeah, I would say Kelly and Molly. Like I said, they started the year with a 4th place in Mexico to start their career together. And it was like, oh, wow, they burst out on the scene. It was kind of unsure how they were going to mesh and well together. I think 2-time Olympian Kelly Chang, she's one of the best offensive players that we have on the Beach Pro Tour. And Molly had a great run at the end of last year with Tony Rodriguez. They got a bunch of medals. I think they got 3, a bronze, a silver, and a gold to wrap up the season last year at all these challenge events. And they've just been getting better and more consistent. Molly getting that confidence, and they got Jordan in their box as well. But 3 4th place finishes to make Championship Sunday in your first kind of real season attending elites for Molly Shaw, I think is huge. And then you get a gold medal, like I mentioned, beating all those Brazilian teams. their confidence has got to be high. If I'm Molly and Kelly, it's like, okay, it doesn't matter who we're playing. We've proven we can beat the best teams in the world. And so they have to be confident, I think, going into this one. But they're my favorites to win that pool.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to give credit where credit is due. And Molly Shaw has grinded from the trenches to now one of the best teams in the world. And just watching her flourish behind that big block of Kelly, of course. But, I mean, you got to give Shaw her flowers because she's making insane digs.
Yeah.
She's passing consistently. Her setting is fantastic as well. And I've just really loved seeing Molly Shaw just take off altogether as an athlete. And she's a competitor. I mean, it doesn't matter who she's playing with at the end of the day. Like, she's always going to show up.
Yeah, no question. And speaking on that, in Joao Pessoa, she had the stomach bug, as many athletes did. And so right before, I think, their semifinal game, she was throwing up or whatever was going on. She was not feeling good. Pushed through, ended up winning. They get the gold, there. And so she, like you said, I'm impressed with her defense. She digs a ton of balls. She's got excellent passing. Give Kelly the option. I think the one area where there needs to be a bit more growth or some chances is just being more terminal in transition. And so some teams are realizing, okay, can she put it down? We're going to pull off the net, but she's so creative with her shot making ability. She hits the sharpest cutties. She works the depth, the deep part of the court so well. If you play two down, she'll jumbo over you. I don't know how she does it, but she finds the way to get the ball to the sand. And so she's done a really good job this year, and so I'm excited for them.
It's all those no jump reps.
All those no jump reps.
We love no jump.
We love, yes.
Do we?
Yes.
Do we?
We love
okay.
no jump.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes one of us. Okay, let's pivot here to the men's side.
Yep.
Hardest pool, Pool
Yes.
C.
Pool C. Yeah.
So we have Sweden, Brazil again, and Australia.
Yeah. So this is a unique pool again because there's no bad team in this pool. Of course, you have the Swedes. You have David Oman and Jonathan Helvig, who have been on top of the volleyball world for a very long time. This season has not been their best for whatever reason. The rest of the world catching up a little bit. That honeymoon phase is a long honeymoon phase for them in the last 3 years where they were just winning absolutely everything, find themselves in multiple finals. But this year it's been a little quiet. Yes, they have a gold and they have a silver, which is great. And for most teams, that would be an awesome year. But unfortunately for them, they have broken through the ceiling too many times. And so we hold them to a very high standard, as they do themselves. And so a little bit of an off year for them. Still one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world. Anders and Christian might have some things to say about that. It's been kind of back and forth Scandinavian battle between those two. Paul Burnett and Tom Hodges. Thomas Hodges, as you know, Zach Schubert, him and Zach Schubert went to the Paris Olympics. They qualified in Paris. Zach Schubert was dealing with some injuries, so Tom Hodges picked up Paul Burnett, who spent a lot of time playing as well. And so it's a young, athletic team. They haven't had a lot of reps together, but both very experienced players. And so I'm excited to see they did play Newport. They didn't have the best finish in Newport. Tom Hodges, a UCI graduate.
Yeah.
A former anteater.
Yeah. We were at UCI together
Oh, nice.
there at the
Yeah.
same time for
There you
like
go.
3 years.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
you know Tom,
buddies
you
over
know.
there at UCI, and he
Yeah.
played with my little brother actually
yeah, that's
when
right.
my brother Sean was a freshman. Hodges was a
super cool.
senior. Took him under his wing, which was nice.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom's great. We love Tom. So that's a really good Australian team. And some teams are getting these automatic bursts because Australia get a couple wild cards per gender. This is a team to look out for. Very physical, super jumpy. And then you have the two Brazil teams, of course. Former partners, George and Andre. Now George playing with Simon and Andre playing with Renato. George and Simon, they were out of the ranks to start the year. They were in like 34th, 36th position halfway through the season. And then all of a sudden, started to get a little bit better, get some more finishes, find their groove because Andre and George had split after a long time together. They get a gold in New Volley in the Philippines just the other day, which was really, really awesome for them and their growth. And George, in my opinion, is still one of the best beach volleyball players that we have in the world right now. And then the other team, Andre and Renato, Andre played with George in Stade. Andre came out of retirement for a little bit. They came back to play one event. They went to Stade. They beat Norway. They took a fourth in that event after not playing together for months. So super interesting there. But Hanato is one of the smoothest, cleanest volleyball players. He's super young. I think he's only like 26. So him and Andre are playing together. They've had a couple events, haven't had quite the success, but they have enough points to be in to World Championships. But if they play to the max of their potential, that's a team that can beat anybody in the tournament, no question, because Andre's already proven it. He's a world champion himself back in the day when he was just 22 years old with Ivandro. Back in 2017, I think they won in Austria. And so championship caliber experience on that squad. And so that's a look. Every single team. Sweden, obviously one of the best teams. Australia, super physical, super good. And then George and Simon, a really good partnership that's kind of new. And then Andre and Hanato, also a really good team.
Do you remember calling George and Simon's game matches this year? Were you able to get on a couple of those calls?
Yes,
okay.
For sure. And what's crazy about them is that they beat David and Jonathan from Sweden. The only time they've met, they beat them. And that was in Joao Pessoa, and I did that game. And it's different because Simon is a very emotional player and runs hot, and he can be hot, he can be cold. It's a little bit of a mixed bag sometimes. But with the Brazilian fans cheering for him, he was going crazy. He was going crazy. They won 15-13 in that third set over Sweden. And so if you can beat Sweden, then you can beat everybody in the world, because Sweden is one of the best teams in the world. And so George and Simon is, like I said, a bit hot cold. He can be a little sporadic, but that's where George comes in to settle him down. And so I'm excited to see what they can do here, because he's a very physical blocker. He's super powerful, and then you have George as smooth as can be behind him, and you can see already beaten Sweden, and so it's very possible for them. So I'm not sure who will get fourth in that bracket.
Well, roll the dice, see what happens.
Yeah, goodness, it's
Seems
tough.
like every pool heading into World Champs. Well, Sweden continues to just elevate their roster of athletes.
Yes.
Nilsson and Anderson have now punched their way into the top 3 in the world coming into World Champs.
Yeah.
They're only 20 and 19. How do they keep that momentum going?
It's crazy. You look at last year, and they had never played an elite event before. In last year, they ended the year with a couple medals in some challenge events, and then coming into this year, they were kind of a new team. Didn't really know. I hadn't got to watch them a bunch, and now everybody knows who they are. And when you have training partners like David and Jonathan on your side and working every day, your iron sharpens iron. You're growing exponentially. And talking to Coach Razzie Johnson the other day in Cape Town, he mentioned, he's like, if David and Jonathan come to practice and aren't feeling their best or having a little off day, Jakob and Elmer are winning drills. And he's like, they don't like that. David and Jonathan don't like that. And that's where they are in their game. And they've proven it over and over again. They already have 2 silvers this year and then a gold in Cape Town. And so 3 elite medals for them in this meteoric rise this year to being one of the best teams in the Beach Pro Tour. If you ask anybody, they're a top 5 team. And I still think they're just scratching the surface, which is crazy, 20 and 19, like you said. Elmer's getting better defensively, finding some more range. And then Holtig Nielsen is one of the most efficient players that we have on the Beach Pro Tour. His option, I think he's leading the league in option efficiency. And he doesn't get served too often because he's as smooth as butter. His game is beautiful. His game is beautiful.
What can teams expect to see from this young duo heading into World Champs offensively? I mean, the option play, of course, they're putting it away at the highest percentage on tour. Teams know that. Do you think they're going to adjust it, or if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing? Yeah,
it's interesting because just like we talked about with older Sweden, with David and Jonathan, they're having a bit of a down year. And it could be the post-Olympic come down. Granted, they got the gold medal in the Paris Olympics, so it's hard to kind of keep that motivation and energy the year after. But also teams have begun to strategize just a little bit better. And so I think with Elmer and Jakob, it's going to be a similar situation because they're kind of new on the scene. And so teams are kind of figuring out how to handle it. Obviously, it's a jump-setting offense, as a lot of teams in the world are using that offense. So it's not something necessarily new, but maybe how they implement their jump set offense is a little bit different than some other teams. I think Holtig Nielsen is the most deceptive jump setter that we have on the Beach Pro Tour. And I saw teams go after him in Cape Town. In the finals in Cape Town, Timo Hammerberg and Tim Berger from Austria served Holtig Nielsen almost consistently in that game. And he had one of his worst hitting matches that I've ever seen him play. And they still won handily in 2 straight sets. And so it's kind of pick your poison, because I think if you serve the defender, if you serve Elmer Anderson, you have to deal with the option of Holtig Nielsen, which is the most difficult, I think, to deal with. But then if you just serve Holtig Nielsen, you have his offensive flow, which is really, really good, in addition to some options from Elmer. And so team's going to figure out, do we have the big block to handle the option? Do we have a blocker that is more dynamic and can move laterally to deal? And that's kind of a lot of these blockers, there's a theme, younger blockers are not as big, and I don't know if that's helping be more lateral, more explosive, instead of the 6'10" blocker who is very good up and down, like a Phil or something like that, or a Niels Ehlers from Germany, where some blockers are a bit more dynamic, a little bit more movement. And so I'm curious to see, because they're not newbies anymore. It's not a fluke where they are, because they just got a gold medal, they got 2 silvers, they got 1 in Stade, they got 1 in Montreal, and the world is on notice. They've been doing their homework. They know they're going to see these guys late in the tournament and World Championships, and they're so cool. What is so unique, Victoria, is 20 and 19 years young, and on the court they are as calm and composed as anyone on the Beach Pro Tour. And so you think, okay, World Championships, big stage, might be a little bit of nerves, and that might happen, a little bit for them. But on the outside looking in, goodness, they are just so calm.
Wow.
So I'm excited to see what they look like in World Championships, because I expect to see them late in the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll have a Sweden versus Sweden
My goodness, it's very possible.
in a semis.
That's happened a couple times, and Coach Razzie Johnson takes off. He doesn't sit in either box. He's like, honestly, it's like holiday. It's like holiday for me. It's a vacation, because I don't have to sit and I don't have to coach. And for years he had just David and Jonathan, and now he's got this second team, and so he's doing double duty at all these events. And every once in a while they play each other. It's very possible that
How
we'll see
much
them.
has, sorry to cut you off,
No.
how much has he influenced his athletes with jump setting, or did the 4 of them just organically want to start doing that to elevate the game?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's the brainchild of Razzie Johnson coming in and trying to do something different, seeing where Christian and Anders were in the world and figuring out, okay, how do we beat this team? Anders is the most dominant blocker, one of the best that we have of all time. When you go up and down right in front of him, he's too dynamic. He's too good making these moves outside the body. And so what do we do? And so he experimented early and forced some teams to, like, hey, we're going to work on this jump setting thing, and we're going to do it. And he mentioned that he brought in Holtig Nielsen. He recruited him when he was 14 years young, and he said he wasn't very good at 14, but he was tall. And 6 years.
We can coach that.
You can coach that. You can coach that. And 6 years under the tutelage of Razzie and some other staff there, Anders, one of the other coaches, he's one of the best players in the world right now at 20 years young, 6 years in the making. And it didn't happen right away. Like you said, it was a little raw to start, to be expected for a 14-year-old. But I mean, you look at Elmer Anderson, and he missed a couple tournaments this year because he had a high school test that he couldn't miss. And so he had some high school tests that he was doing, and he's out there the following weekend competing against the best teams in the world, getting medals.
Wow.
So it's really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, the future bright is
Yes.
very bright in Sweden
Yes.
and in Scandinavia.
Oh, big time.
As a whole.
Big time. And that could be a whole episode itself, is what is
course.
Scandinavia doing differently than
Right.
the rest of the world?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, just give us a hot take really fast.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like in some of these smaller countries, maybe population-wise, they're like, hey, maybe we're not going to put all our resources in these bigger Olympic sports. Let's put some extra resources and some funding into some of these smaller sports where we can actually make an impact and try to change the game a little bit. And I give a lot of credit to Anders and Christian to putting Scandinavia on the map, because before them there wasn't a lot of teams from that area, and so I think they inspired teams from Sweden like David and Jonathan to be like, we can do this as well. So, small hot take.
Small hot take. And we'll see plenty of Scandinavian teams in the Winter Olympics around the corner.
Yes, I know.
Over outside Milan there. That'll be fun.
I know. It's coming around again. I'm excited for Winter
know.
Olympics.
I love
like
it.
We just got done with the Paris Olympics and it's still like on that Paris high. But
Right?
here we go, another
Yeah,
Olympics.
rolling in. Okay, best match you saw or called this season?
Yeah. So best match that I called was recently, and probably some little bit of recency bias, but it was a quarterfinal match versus France, Remy Bassereau and Calvin Aye, who's one of the hottest teams that we have on the Beach Pro Tour right now, fresh off a silver medal in João Pessoa. They got a fourth in Cape Town. They played Brazil's Ivandro and Artur, who have been the best Brazilian team this year. They've got a couple medals underneath their belt, but it was an electric game. It's just a quarterfinal match, but it meant a lot, and you could tell. It went three. First set, 22-20, 19-21, and then 15-11 in that final set. But just really fun volleyball. And Remy and Calvin have this unique, sparky, exciting dynamic on court where Calvin will put his arm around Remy as they walk back to the service line, they go to the timeout, they're hugging, they're celebrating, and teams do that, but there's like this youthful energy from them and spark, and I think Calvin, it's the only team that I know of that the blocker is shorter than the defender, well, besides Cuba. Cuba has a 7-foot Noslin Diaz and a 6'6" Jorge Olayo, but Calvin is a little taller than the blocker Remy. Calvin's about 6'5", 6'6". Remy's about 6'4", but he's got extreme athletic hopping ability, Remy the blocker. But Calvin, I think, is maybe the most exciting defender. He's so fast twitch, and he's so physical in transition. And so anytime he gets a hand on the ball, if Remy can put it up in a good position, it's like he's going up and hammering it. So I think that's a bit of an X factor for this squad. But that match, I had so much fun doing that match. The volleyball was insane, and France ends up winning that one, and they go on to lose the semis, and they get fourth in that event. But still an amazing tournament for them. So go back and check that one out for fans at home. The quarterfinal match in Cape Town with me and Denise Austin, it was really, really a fun one.
Too much fun. I mean, every athlete, it's hard to choose a favorite, but what athlete on tour this season surprised you the most? So I'm not asking for the best athlete, but somebody either on the men or women's side, you can pick one, somebody that kind of just rose from the ashes a little bit.
Yeah. And we already talked about him, but it's going to be Jakob Hultig Nielsen, the blocker from Sweden, the young Swedish team. Like I said, last year, it came onto the scene with a couple of good challenge finishes, a couple of medals, and it was like, oh, did you guys see the young? I had people heard talking about, oh, did you see this new Swedish team? They're pretty good. The guys, they're pretty dynamic. It's like, oh, okay, cool. And then I didn't really get a chance to watch them, and then I got to see them in person. I'm like, oh yeah, like they're really good. They're really good. And then as I got to watch more, I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's arm swing is perfect. It is so fluid. It is, he cranks it back. He rotates smooth. Every hand-to-ball contact is pure. And then the more I watch, I'm like, he's the best setter in the world. He's the best setter. There's no question. It's the jump setting, at least. I think his hand setting is the best in the world. There's some really good setters out there who can set in some trouble situations. Poland's Bartosz Wojciak, the defender, I think is an amazing setter. He can bump set from here. He can hand set from over here. But Hultig Nielsen, there's nothing smoother. There's nothing more deceptive in his jump set offense game. So go watch Hultig Nielsen play, because I knew they were solid. But then as this year progressed, I just like every match, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's so good. Oh my God, he's amazing. The arm swing, are you seeing this arm swing? Just like hammers balls so well. And then, yeah, the fluidity and then composure. We talked about the composure from him. So I've just been so impressed and surprised, because I didn't expect to see this level from them so early in their career. And it's kind of scary for the rest of the Beach Pro Tour, because they're 20 and 19 years old. Jakob's 20, Elmer's just 19. And so just scratching the surface of potential and what's possible for them.
They're the new Anders and Christian.
They're the new Anders and Christian. Yeah, you have to believe it.
Yeah, big time. Nielsen, he makes out-of-system plays in system with his setting. What specifically stands out to you? Is it set location? Is it consistency of hand-to-ball contact? Why is he so good at setting?
Yeah, I think it's consistency, and every set location consistency, yes, but every set comes out perfectly clean, buttery clean every single time. And sometimes he's in compromised positions because he's jump setting and he's a little sideways. And it's just this beautiful release every single time. I just want to study like what he looked when he first came in, like what did it look like, and to what they were doing during those last 6 years to see what did they do with those hands and how did they become so perfect. But there is something about his setting that is it's unbelievable.
He feels the flow, man.
He's flowing.
Yeah,
he's flowing, and
time.
to them
and a lot of film.
A lot, yeah, definitely a lot of film for them. And a fun thing for them, they just announced today that they're officially calling themselves the Icemen. They had posted something the other day with a handshake saying something big is coming, and we had kind of talked about it in our inner circle about, oh, it's going to be Red Bull because all the Scandinavian boys have Red Bull contracts. It's the most lucrative. It's the rarest to have. And it's not a Red Bull contract, at least not yet. But they did announce that they are going to be going by the Icemen, I think, to give themselves their own identity, because for us on the broadcast, we've been calling them younger Swedes, you know, the new Sweden, you know, because you got Sweden and you got the young Swede, you know. So I think they're ready to do their own thing. And so check them out, Icemen. I forget what their full Instagram handle is, but they are the Icemen, and I love it.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's
How
good.
fun is that?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Best upset that you've seen this year?
Yeah, best upset came recently, actually, at the Newport Elite event. Did you get down there?
I was, yeah.
Good.
I was working in Utah, but I came back in time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fun. I mean, it was cool to see the volleyball world people come into America. We haven't had an event here since 2018 at an elite level event, and so it's been a while. We've been due for something, but the quarterfinal match, Trevor Crabb and Taylor Crabb over Niels Ehlers and Clemens Vickler, the pair of silver medalists from just last year, the silver medalists, Taylor and Trevor beat them handily, 21-14, 21-18. And before going to the match, I'm like, oh yeah, Germany, they haven't had their best year. They've been playing very subpar in their, but still, Niels is 6'10". Niels is 6'10", Clemens is 6'3". He's one of the best defenders that we have in the world right now. The Crabs just go out there. They were shit-talking them. They were heckling them. The fans, of course, being on USA soil is good for the Crabs. They feed off a little bit of that energy. But the Crabs were the 11th seed. They got the wild card into this event. It's the only event that they've played together in years. And so you're like, oh, they're not going to really do anything too special. They're going to have some fun. No, they go in. They win in 2 straight sets. Taylor leads the match in blocks. Taylor, because Taylor and Trevor were split blocking. And so the shortest player on the court leads the match with 3 blocks. Niels, the biggest player, 6'10", has 2 blocks in that match. I have never quite seen a match like that.
No.
Like I said, the pair of silver medalists. In 24, that team, 6 semis and 10 events for the Beach Pro Tour season. So they were in Super Sunday, Championship Sunday, consistently in 24. And then this year, there's been a little bit of drop-off, but still. So that's a big upset. I would go back and watch that one. It's really fun. Rich and I did that one in the booth, and we were just like enjoying it because we know Taylor and Trevor, and Rich coached Taylor with Taylor Sander. But it was so entertaining because we were like, what are we watching?
Yeah.
What is happening right now?
That's wild.
Yeah.
Taylor Crabb, that mini court at Outrigger Canoe Club.
Yes.
You know he wanted to block sometimes on that court.
He for sure did.
It's probably where it came from.
Yeah, Outrigger Baby Court.
Yeah.
You know, it's produced a handful of Olympians, a lot of Olympians out there in Outrigger. They got something in the water. I don't know what it is, but it's
something.
Yeah, it's something. So that's a good one. Go back and check that one out for sure for fans at home.
We talked about an athlete that surprised you.
Yep.
What about a team specifically that did better or more consistent over the duration of the season?
Yeah, that team for me is a women's team in Valentina Guittardi and Reika Orsi-Toff. Kind of mentioned them a little bit before. Valentina has got the highest ceiling, I think, that we've ever seen from a female athlete. I mean, you could put her on the men's net and she could hammer balls, no problem. She's that gifted physically. She's only 6'1", but she has long arms. She's got an extreme whip, and she's got a cannon. She's so jumpy because she makes swings that you've never seen in your life on the women's side. And working with Denise Austin, she's been around the game for a very long time. She said she's never seen another athlete like her in the women's game. And so her and Reika, I mentioned last year they played just one event together in Rio. They took a fifth, and that was like their first little scene together. It wasn't the hardest elite event, but still a respectable fifth place finish. So I wasn't sure how they were going to do this year. Rekka getting thrown in with Italy's golden girl, which is Valentina. Everyone wants to play with Valentina. She's the best. She's a phenomenal blocker. She can side out. They go on to this year to get 5 fifth-place finishes, a gold in Hamburg, which was awesome for them. They had a great run. Rekka is seeing 80 to 90% of the service pressure, and she's as smooth as can be. She's getting better and better. The LMU graduate. Just get a lot of pressure when you're getting all that kind of service pressure. You know, you've been on the beach. When you're getting that service pressure, it's tough. It's tough. You know it's coming because you have a player next to you who can bounce the ball to the moon. Like, well, they're not going to serve her too many balls. And so you got to work. You got to work. And so I'm really impressed with that team. They hit the quarterfinals in 6 of 8 events this year. And so that's as consistent as it gets for them. And then they get the gold medal to boot in just their first full year together. So the rest of the world is on notice, that's for sure. And they're going to be a favorite or a dark horse team, if you will, to get on the podium. I think they're not a top 10 team. Let's see where they're at in terms. Okay, they're 9th. So they're sitting at 9th in the event. But I think that they could beat anyone in the world. They've proven that in Hamburg. And so that is the team I've been the most surprised with this year and their consistency.
Well, there might be some surprises, but if you had to put $1 on the podium here in no particular order,
okay,
who do you think we're going to see on the podium at World Champs?
Yeah, so for the men, I have Anderson Christian from Norway taking a podium spot. I have the boys from Qatar, Sharif and Ahmed, who have...
They're great.
They're phenomenal.
And just nice humans.
Super nice guys. They play with such joy. They play with such charisma. No one's grittier than them. No one is scrappier as a whole than them. And they're 3 gold medals in a row in their last couple events. And so they've been peaking at the right time. It's so important to figure out when to peak. How do you peak at the end of the season when World Champs is coming? That team is peaking. They are playing the best volleyball over Sweden, over Norway. They're playing the best volleyball right now. And then my third team is David Oman and Jonathan Helvig from Sweden. I think they've missed a couple events. They've not feeling 100%. They only want to play events. They feel like they're 100% in. They can win. And I think they're going to get on the podium as well. Because if they're playing their best volleyball, that's the thing. If these teams are playing their best volleyball, I think these are the teams that are getting on the podium for the men's side.
Love it.
Yep. And then for the women's side, I have Ana Patricia and Duda from Brazil. I think if they're playing their best volleyball, they are the best team in the world. It's just a matter of, are they playing their best volleyball or not? Because sometimes they're a little hot and cold. Do they have 5 bronze medals this year? They do. Are they playing good? Yes, they're playing good. Are they the reigning Olympic champions? Yes, they are. But sometimes we're dealing with some injuries, and sometimes their motivation can wane a little bit, and so it can be tough. But if they're playing their best, no one can beat them. Taryn and Kristen, also, I have them on the podium. They have their best year to date together, 3 gold medals. Their win percentage this year, 81%. They're undefeated on U.S. soil this year in all the AVP events that they have never lost, which is crazy. And Newport, they went on to win Newport as well. So they're on the podium for me. And then this one, it may be a bit of surprise, but Svenja Mueller and Sinja Tillman, fresh off their gold medal in Cape Town. They haven't been on the podium a bunch this year. They've had a bit of a down year, but I feel like when they're playing great, they have the pieces to beat everybody, and it's about peaking late, and they just finished with a gold medal and some momentum on their side.
And with that gold medal, they only dropped 1 set.
Yes.
The whole time.
Yep.
What stood out about them, and how have you seen them just peak at the right time heading into World Champs?
Yeah, I think 2 things. Svenja Mueller, she's just 24, and she struggled passing a little bit last year, and that has really tidied up on her side. With her height and her ball-to-hand contact, she's extremely powerful, and she reaches way higher than a lot of athletes. And so she can go over the top, she can hammer to the line, she can hit cut shots, she can hit high lines. And so the challenge for them before was she was seeing a lot of service pressure, but they weren't always in system. That has kind of changed, and she's been really good. And then Sinja was an MVP. She turned straight Super Saiyan in Cape Town, digging everything, putting every ball away, and she's only 5'9", 5'10", but she is usually not the service target because of how creative she is in her offensive game. She's got poke shots, she's got jumbos, she's got swings, she's got power. She moves the ball around. Svenja's a beautiful hand setter. And so I saw another level from Sinja, the defender in Cape Town, and that together, when they're doing that together, they're deadly, because the big block of Mueller at 6'4", and then Sinja, the ninja Tillman. You don't get the name ninja without being super scrappy, super defensively gifted, and I'm excited for them. And so I have them on the podium as well.
Love that.
Yep.
Well, it's going to start with 12 pools of 4.
Yep.
And we'll see how the cards fall.
Yeah, lots of volleyball. Lots of 192 matches, maybe, something like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, a lot of volleyball.
All the volleyball.
Yeah,
What more could we want?
This is what we want. This is like
Yes.
Christmas. It's Christmas in November.
It is.
Here in Australia.
Down under.
Down under.
Yep.
So I'm really excited to go and do World Champs. I've done some remote work for the last couple World Champs from Rome and Tlaxcala, but never in person. And so we'll
Yay.
get to go in person this time.
I'm so excited for you.
Yep.
I can't wait to watch your games.
Yes.
And the athletes too, of course.
Of course. Yeah. I mean,
It's like
not,
we go for the athletes, but we stay for Kyle Friend.
No, that is definitely not the case. That is definitely not the case. Our job is to highlight the athletes as best we can, and you go to watch, and we just try to tell the best story we can and make the game just a bit more entertaining, because it's already really entertaining, and it's going to be some really good volleyball there.
Absolutely.
But I
Well,
appreciate it.
we'll be tuning in.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Keep it gritty out there.
Make that make that make that